Welcome to week 2 of my attempt to write a song a week for a month and also to get a bit fitter and healthier in the process. With that in mind, I'm not drinking during the week and I'm also not touching sugar for 5 days a week and trying to do a bit of intensive exercise for a few minutes a day. Thank you so much for the response to Make the Right Noises last week. The overwhelming favourite was the more reflective American sort of singer-songwriter version, and that's the one I'm going to be playing live, probably starting this Thursday. So what to do this week? Well, on my iPhone here, I've got various chord sequences that I've collected over the years. You know, when I have an idle moment, I'll strum a few things down and give them a working title. Now, this one I called Sullivan for some reason. It's in Dadgad on the guitar, open tuning, as it were. Now I called it Sullivan because my memory cue for the song was the folk song Sullivan John, have you been and gone far away from your native land? Fantastic Irish folk song, and I wanted to start off with the name of someone. So that's my initial approach to the song, and as you can hear, I'm sort of moving away from Americana very much into the sort of Irish musical landscape, and I'm going to try and draw on elements of my personal and musical and social history in order to make the song work. On the guitar, the basic chord sequence or the beginning chord sequences. So, where do I start? Well, my grandmother came from Limavady in Northern Ireland, and I've never been there. And although she didn't bring a musical sensibility to the family, it's there as a reference point. And I'm off to Belfast at the end of October to see Exeter Chiefs versus Ulster. And on the Friday night, I'm looking for a gig, and I'm hoping to play this song there. So that's an incentive. What else can I draw on? Oh yeah, 10 years ago, driving to Shrewsbury Festival, my wife announced that her Aunt Ruth had just informed her she had a second cousin. She shared a grandparent with a professional folkie, and she looked down the list of who was playing and said, that's the guy, and it was Andy Irvine. Yeah, exactly. And she said, have you met? And I said, no, I haven't. I knew his reputation, obviously. I must have been 19, and John Bickford, Paul Downs and I first heard Planxty, the record, and it was one of those moments that changed your musical DNA. I knew Arthur McBride from the Carthy Swarbrick version, but that's what I once knew, a fellow called Arthur McBride. Names again, names of people, and his pleasure was walking down by the seaside. And along with, I suppose, Prince Heathen, freewheeling Bob Dylan, Thick as a Brick, Ziggy Stardust. It sort of changed the way you hear music, really, and the way what's possible. The instrumentation, the bouzouki, and all that sort of stuff. Later that year, 19, I moved to Coventry. I went to Lanchester Poly, and I started a folk club with Ruth and the gang. And the musical landscape of the city was dominated by the Furies and Sean Cannon, and a fantastic band called Rocky Road. So going to the Dyer's Arms and a session there, again, that's another sort of musical education. What else? In the early days of Show of Hands, we used to support, if they were anywhere in the West Country, what they called After Hours. Alan Burke, Tim Potts and the boys. A few lost party nights spent with those guys. Again, that early Planxty instrumentation, bouzouki, fiddle, etc., flute, whistle, guitar, but original songs, and that's the key. And I wrote originally Galway Farmer thinking that they might want to do it, and having spent a few concert moments with them. So that's another bit there. More recently, I've been lucky enough to play with Kathy and the boys in Dervish. I've been their guest 3 times now. We've played the Galway Farmer and some other songs, and to stand on stage in the middle of that noise, again, it sort of soaks into you, doesn't it? Socially, a few lost hours this year with Eamon Coyne of Treacherous Orchestra, talking about life and love and music and stuff. and socially again, and musically to a certain extent, hanging out and listening to Mad Dog McRae. A bunch of rogues, Irish, Anglo-Irish band from the West Country. Again, they make a fantastic noise. It's so, I don't know, it's just authentic. When they sing about places and stuff like that, it just sounds real. It sounds rooted. So that's my idea for the song. I want it to be about a lovable rogue and drawn upon elements of all of those stories. A lovable rogue, the sort of person that you sort of want to get away from, but is rather magnetic. And it could be, I don't know, it could be a love song. It could be a song. It could be lovable criminals, you know, like my Rural Villains series of songs in the West Country. I don't know yet. But it's going to have the title, and the working title I had was Sullivan, but lately I've moved it to Fairweather John, just for something to sing and just to open the doors, really. Fairweather John, where are you gone? You're causing me nothing but trouble. Ba-ba-ba-ba. So that is my quest this week, to come up with a sort of very much an Irish landscape song about a lovable rogue using an open tuning, and wish me luck.